It was Fregley. Fregley asked us if we were okay. Asked him if he actually killed the bug thing, and he said probably not. Fregley said that it wasn't safe out here, and that he had a place where we would be safe. He said he came out here looking for survivors, and that we were lucky we weren't torn to shreds. He said that he's been going around setting up devices that make fake audio to lure the unholy creatures away from any potential victims. Fregley said we needed to get out before the bug thing starts to regenerate. I didn't like the sound of that at all, and apparently neither did anyone else, since we all followed Fregley out of Bryce's restaurant. Once we were out of the restaurant, we snuck through the streets, careful not to be seen by one of Manny's imaginary friends. It was all going well at first, but then we heard laughter in the distance. Tee tee tee. We darted behind the dumpster and hid there. Then we heard footsteps. The footsteps grew louder and louder, and then he came. He walked slowly through the alleyway and scanned the area, looking everywhere as he did so. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I didn't have a good feeling about it. Then he stopped in front of the dumpster, and I was certain that he was going to lift up the dumpster and eat us all alive. But then he started walking away. Once he was gone, Fregley checked to make sure that the coast was clear, and sure enough, it was. So we continued to sneak across the streets of downtown Plainview. We continued to sneak through downtown Plainview until we got to the building Albert Sandy works at. Fregley told us to follow him, and we snuck around the building until we got to the back. There was a forest behind the building, and Fregley told us to follow him before he went into the forest. Now, I wasn't exactly too thrilled with the idea of going in the woods, especially after what happened last time I ventured into the woods. But it wasn't like it was any safer than Plainview, so I figured I might as well follow him into the woods. We walked through the forest until we got to a hill with a metal door built into it. It looked like an old blast-resistant military door, and Fregley told us to wait before he walked up to the door. Albert, you in there? Fregley knocked on the door, and pretty soon, the metal speak-easy window slid open. The window closed after the person behind it got a good look at him, and then the door opened. And standing behind it was Albert. Albert told us to come in, and when we got inside, Albert led us through a hallway and into the main room. Albert said that this was his secret bunker he made in case the world's stock market collapses. He said it works perfectly for this situation, and that we'd be safe here. And Chirag asked this, okay, so what on earth is going on, guys? I figured after all this, they deserve to know the truth, so let the cat out of the bag. So I'm sure you're familiar with my younger brother, Manny. I told him about how after Manny died, his spirit lived on and attached himself to my dreams. I told him that the string of murders following his death were his work, and that he used my dreams to make things happen in the real world. I told him that I defeated him and rid myself of his attachment to me, but now he's managed to get other beings to do his work for him. Then, I looked at Fregley and Albert and said that I found out that these beings are actually Manny's imaginary friends he had when he was a toddler, that he somehow managed to bring to life. I remember Manny said something about a tulpa, so I mentioned that, and Fregley said he was familiar with tuplars. Albert went on to explain that a tuplar is created when a person brings an imaginary person, character, or concept to life by intense concentration, visualization, and belief. Albert said that tuplars are typically thought to be created by the living, that there's technically no rule against a dead person doing it. Albert said that at first, a tulpa is just imagination, no more real than your imaginary girlfriend. But then, by a person's concentration, focus, and belief, it becomes gradually more tangible until it is finally a sentient conscious being. Albert Sandy said that as tulpas to learn more skills, they become more aware, and eventually they gain their own personalities and agency. Albert said they typically stick close to the template that they were envisioned with, but that they have their own sentience, will, and agency. Chirag asked what we should do now, and Dennis said we should get Roger to a hospital. Albert said his car was parked outside his building, and he gave Dennis the car keys. Dennis walked out of the bunker of Roderick, and I asked if they would be safe. Fregley said that they would be safe since this side of the forest was protected by gnomes. That didn't exactly give me much confidence, but it wasn't exactly like there was much I could do otherwise. I asked if there was any way we could defeat Manny's imaginary friends, and Tyson said that since Manny is using his imaginary friends to kill people, that we could create our own imaginary friends and give them the power to defeat Manny's imaginary friends. But Fergie said that the process of creating a Tulpa is one that takes months. Fergie said he knew a way to defeat them, and it was through a ritual. First, we create a circle, then we bring the tulpa into the circle, and finally, someone will say a chant that will defeat the tulpa. Fergie said that there's no way to destroy a tulpa for good, but that they can be defeated. Fergie said that when the tulpa takes its first step into the reality, it is formed in a different layer of existence that is metaphysical in nature. And as it develops, it gradually manifests itself into the physical world. Fergie said that the ritual sent that tulpa back to its world and cut it off from the physical world permanently. Then, Fergie came up with a plan. He said that we'd find a place out of the way and out of the way enough to be discreet, but close enough to plain view to lure them out over there. Then, we would make a circle there, and once we were done with that, we would use the fake audio devices that Fergie's been setting up to lure Manny's imaginary friends to the location, and once they're in the circle, Fergie will say the chant and banish them back to the world permanently. Fergie looked at Shrug and Tyson and told them that they could stay in the bunker if they wanted, but Shrug and Tyson had something else to say. We've made it through all of this. We're not just gonna stay behind. Yeah, we're coming with and we're fine to the very end. Fergie said that they were welcome to come along if they'd like, but warned them that what we were about to do was very dangerous and that one of us could easily lose our lives. Shrug and Tyson seemed to understand this risk and decided to come along anyways. Also, can I have a new pair of pants? My old ones got torn off. Yeah. Albert went and got a pair of shorts for Tyson to change into, and once Tyson changed, we began to prepare for the ritual. Now I'm here, writing in my journal for what might be the last time. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea if any of us are going to make it out alive. But if we do go out, then we're going out fighting. Fighting for our town. Fighting for everyone's right to live in peace and to be rid of these creatures. To be rid of Manny. We're about to head out now. Wish us luck.